This is CC. Welcome to the Orbit. It is Monday, March 18th. We are looking at a strong opening to start the week. We're looking at SPY right now, up about 0.75%. That is more than what options were pricing for the entire day. And in fact, for the week, options are pricing about a 1.5% expected move. So about half of that already pre-open on Monday. This is an interesting week for a number of reasons. We have NVIDIA's conference today, Analyst Day, AI conference. We have the FOMC, of course, later this week. So I've got a kind of a pumped expected move compared to the last couple of weeks, 1.5, 17, almost 18 IV out to Friday. For those Fed days, we're at about 20 vol in the SPY and SPX. That is much higher than what we've seen day to day. Generally, the way this works is the 0 DTE has been in the 20s to the mid 20s. We're looking at 26 for today, and that has dropped off in most past weeks. And we've even seen down to 12 and 13 vol. So this week, looking at 17, 18 vol all the way out to the end of the week, that gives you a sense that IV and options are a little pumped for this week. If we go out for a 1 month view, that doesn't last that long. We've got, you can see the SPY IV comes down to about 14 over the next couple of weeks, 13, and out to 13 to the end of the month. But again, that is still higher than what we have seen. So volatility is a little bit higher, and you see that, of course, in the slightly higher VIX. Let's go back to that 0 DTE, and let's do an iron condor real quick and look at those levels. Based upon where SPY is trading pre-market, we're looking at a 510 short put, a 518 short call. This is 0 DTE. Let's go out to the 1 week view. You can see the 1 week view where we are at those those highs and lows of last week. Let's change the expiry look all the way out to Friday, and let's back this chart up a little bit and look at those levels based upon where the stock is right now. And you can kind of see where we are on that. It goes back to beginning March 5th is those catching those lows. And then, of course, it's giving the market room higher to break out and have new highs. And of course, we are going to open up near 5,200 in SPX, which is pretty significant. We talked about that FOMC meeting midweek. That is going to have some volatility in and out of it. You are probably likely going to see that IV even potentially increase into that FOMC meeting. It might be, this is a historically high vol period, March. We just had an expiration. Gamma is not going to be a factor, and in fact, we might be hitting the point soon where we're staring at some short gamma effects in the market, and that's why you're starting to get that whippy. But look for that implied volatility after the FOMC meeting, because that might be an indication of where we are going over the next month. Is this week going to be the peak in implied volatility, or is it just the beginning? And particularly if the market pulled back after the FOMC meeting, if the FOMC meeting was particularly hawkish and we pulled back in the market, you might see the VIX a lot higher. You could see it, and we are not high right now in the VIX at, hitting 15. You would expect if we started to pull back in the market and we had any sort of even mini correction, you would expect the VIX to get up above 20 in that scenario. But we are not there yet, but we are starting to feel a little bit more volatile intraday, and you're starting to see that implied volatility increase. We are looking at NVIDIA up about 3% pre-market in the last couple of weeks. This one right here, and then we've sort of consolidated. It did not crash. We've sort of gone sideways into this meeting, and the expected move for this week is about 8.5%, which is a lot. And you can see where that is, sort of over this consolidation. It is outside that consolidation. So options are pricing this week for NVIDIA essentially to make a new high. You can see that expected move 980. taking it up towards 1,000 or a pullback if the conference disappoints and sellers come in the stock, taking it back towards right here, we're looking at 825, taking it back towards 800. The stock is up 25 points pre-market. So that's what's going on in NVIDIA. As far as trading SPX, this is, of course, income from options weekly on Mondays. The implied volatility could increase into the FOMC meeting on midweek. And so you have to be, if you are selling a couple of days out, for instance, make sure you've got 18 ball, 17 ball. It might already be there, but yeah, you should be getting at least 20 IV for these sales around the FOMC meeting, and you can kind of think about what that corresponds with the VIX. And so you have to be very careful what that number is if you are selling premium. And then, of course, that kind of whippiness that we saw last week, you do not want to get caught on the wrong side of that. See what those kinds of levels are out here. That is a 150-point range. That is what that 1.5% expected move is. It's about $75 in either direction on SPX.